Coming up in episode 3, we answer this distress call from this Bolian captain. The most resilient Klingons you will ever see, and a new foe warps in to say hello. Hello and welcome, I am the Black Knight, and this is episode 3 of our Star Trek Online Let's Play and Review series. Picking up exactly where we left off from episode 2, so any second we should hopefully get a pop-up.
I've received a report there is a Bolian freighter that is overdue arriving at Earth space dock. It may need assistance.
So the first paragraph is voiced, but the rest is not. It says, Dana Brott is an experienced captain and the daughter of a former Starfleet officer. It's not like her to be out of contact. Your orders are to head out to sector space and find the Azura. I've already transmitted the ship's last known coordinates to your con officer. Good luck. Let's see, obviously our rewards. We're getting there. Shield, some armour, and a warp core, it looks like. Very nice. Right, so let's get cracking.
You are now in sector space. Here ships travel at warp speed between systems. Combat does not take place in sector space.
So we are again getting the same pop-ups that we had at the tutorial. In fact, we're getting pop-up on pop-up on pop-up here. So we are again being told how to use the map. Press M to get it up and show the map. We're also being another pop-up here as well, telling us to beam back to our ships and to press a button on our mini-map to be able to do that, which we're not on the ground, and the actual button, it says, isn't there for us to be able to do anyway. So that's a bit strange. Bugs, I think, going on there. So the SS Azura is in the same sector block as us, just a little ways up, so it shouldn't take too far. We haven't heard anything more from the Vega system, so I'm assuming the Federation have got that all under control. So let's head to the Azura and see if we can lend a hand and help the ship out. The other pop-ups we got here is about sector space. We know about that one, and the other one we have here is to do with people. Okay, so this one is a new one. It says people with missions available have icons above their heads. Located nearby is Ensign Rurik, a fellow former cadet. He has several missions to help you get acclimated to Earth space dock. I'd be surprised if he was around, seeing as we're in space. So I'm gonna put that down to another bug. Next time I'm at Earth Space Dock, I'll see if I can find him. Maybe he'll give us some new missions.
To any ships in range, this is Dana Brott of the transport SS Azura. Please help! Warp core containment field down! Radiation flooding ship! Communications and life support failing! Cannot eject warp core! Need immediate evacuation and assistance! Please help us!
Okay, so we got a distress call as we were getting a bit closer, so that was interesting. We've got an incoming message on the bottom right hand side of the screen here. I'm assuming that's what we already have.
20 ships in range.
So
this is Dana Brott.
Yeah, so that is the same message as we had on the way there, so that's fine. So the right up here says civilian ships such as the SS Azura are essential to the trade and the transport of goods in the Federation. Lightly armed and with minimal defences, these ships depend on Starfleet to keep space safe as they ferry goods and passengers across the quadrant.
To any ships in range, this is Dana Brott of the transport SS Azura.
The only option we have here is to continue.
Please help! We're being pursued by Orion raiders. Crew injured, taking heavy fire. Dropping out of warp near your coordinates. Need immediate evacuation and assistance. Please help us!
I I was under the impression they already dropped out of warp, but alright. The option here is Travel, keep tracking that distress signal. Ooh, it's not Klingons this time. Who are these guys? So it's Flores again, saying, Sir, sensors are picking up several light attack craft on an intercept course. We will need to deal with them before we can render aid to the SS Azura. And our option is full power to shields, helm, take us in range. So clicking that doesn't seem to change your power settings, they're still the same on the bottom. You're now getting a pop-up for the scanning minigames, saying scanning the radiation will cause the wave scanner minigame to appear. To play the minigame, use your arrow keys to line up the red waves with the blue waves in the background. But, we've played that one already a couple of times, so we hopefully should know what we're doing by now. But, yeah, a little bit strange that it's giving us how to do that at this point. I would have thought that they would have taken out the anomalies for you to scan in the previous missions, or put that a little. Let's go and take out these Orion. Space combat and blowing things up, so it's really quite satisfying, especially in a place like this, the background as blue and colourful as it is. Really quite nice to look at. Yeah, I got him. So just one more to go. I thought I saw the hole in that asteroid when we started the mission. I'm glad I'm not seeing things. I think we'll just quickly go and get that hydrazine gas there before we assist the Azura. I'll just change the power setting to engines to help us turn around a little bit quicker, get there a little bit faster, and then back to weapons just to do a bit more damage again. I'm sure there'll be more combat. It really is a really nice looking system. So here we have to scan the Azura. So pop up from Travel this time, says, Captain, I'm detecting elevated radiation levels on the Azura. I've alerted the transporter chief of the situation. She can brief you before you beam over to the Azura. Our options are away team, report to transporter room, or not yet. So we'll go with the first one. So we get to pick our landing party or our away team. Unfortunately we haven't got any other crew members to be able to take with us. We've only got these 4, so we'll take these 4 with us. Some missions in the future do give bridge officers, so we can get some that way. We also have the DOF system, or the duty officer system, and we can get more that way, as well as requesting some or buying them from the exchange as well. This place definitely looks familiar, although in the tutorial the turbo lift wasn't right behind us. That was a corridor. So and the transporter chief is somebody different as well. It was a Katian, and now we have a different character here.
Captain, I'm concerned about the radiation on the Azura. She might have some damage to the warp core, but our sensors can't pick up enough to determine exactly what you'll find over there. I'm sure I can send you and the away team to the ship safely, but getting you back might be a problem until the Azura's critical damage is repaired. Step on the transporter pad when you're ready to go, and be careful, sir.
Try to keep a lock on us and prepare to transport survivors. So this door's not open to us, which makes sense. We're looking to beam over to the ship. We don't need to go through that way. Let's beam on over. Help out the people on the Azura. Another pop-up from Travell says, "Sir, I'm picking up multiple life signs. Some of them are the Azura's captain and crew, but the rest are Orion." Continue. It says, "Plasma leaks are blocking our path to the survivors. We will need to use the consoles to safely vent the plasma. We have rescuing survivors is our top priority." You may have noticed our bridge officers that should have beamed over with us haven't. We're on our own, they're not following us anymore. This is a bug, it does happen. If it does happen to you, just mouse over to the left hand side, which says regroup bridge officers to your location. Click that one and they will beam in right next to you, and hopefully that will fix any problems with that. Ooh, shinies! Shinies! It's just more stuff to sell for energy credits later. But hey, it's all energy credits, it will all add up. Ooh, and I can roll as well. You can just double tap to do that. I didn't actually mean to do that, but yeah, just double tap and you will roll. So here's the plasma that Travell was on about. It's blocking our way. We need to find a way to get past it. There's a door here to our left which opens, and there is a crew member on the floor. We can scan the crew member. The tricorder scan result says the crew member is critically injured and you do not have the training needed to assist them. It's a science career that is required to complete this task. So we'll continue because we can't do anything else, and we'll see if we can find a way to shut off this plasma leak. It's a shame that we can't help them there. I understand it. It's not our profession. We can't help them. We can't use our bridge officers to help them either. There's a thug here. I can't actually attack him. I can select him, but I can't attack him. Apparently the plasma is blocking my attacks. So let's deactivate this console, and there we go. We can actually attack him now. Oh, and he was kind enough to drop us some loot as well. Look at that. Lovely. But yeah, as I was saying, it would have been nice to have your bridge officers be able to help the people as well. They are also science profession, so it would have been nice if they could have helped as well. Especially as at the beginning of this mission, well, when we beamed aboard, the primary objective was to basically save as many as the crew as we can. But it's a game, so certain limitations are there, unfortunately. Ooh, more loot. Oh, I think the vendor's going to be happy with us. We've got another mini game scanner here. So another console to bypass the plasma conduit. Doors are pretty big here as well. I guess you would really want big doors if you're a transport vessel lugging around cargo. Doors to be as big as possible. civilian that we can do nothing to help there. But at least we are getting plenty of loot, which is quite nice. And again, we're just using the console to bypass the plasma. So it's Zava this time, saying scanning the warp core, Captain, so we'll continue. Catastrophic failure of antimatter containment, warp core breach is imminent. Captain, unless the breach is contained, the Azura will be destroyed. Continue. Captain Brott here says the warp core is going critical, core ejection system is offline. Just chatting to the captain now.
We hit an Orion ambush on our way to K7. We lost our weapons almost immediately, and then we took a direct hit near engineering. Our warp engine's magnetic antimatter containment field failed. We had no choice but to drop shields and use the power to try to stabilize the containment field. As soon as the shields were down, Orions boarded the ship.
Oh, I've got many questions there, but we'll go with continue.
I'll never let those green pirates have the Azura. Please, take my crew to safety. I'll keep trying to stabilize the warp core. If I'm lucky, I can buy you some time.
Okay, the text and the voiceover is not quite matching up here. The text actually says, and now Klingons are showing up. I bet they're here to help those green pirates. Well, I'll never let any of them have the Azura. Please, take my crew to safety. I'll keep trying to stabilize the warp core. If I'm lucky, I can buy you some time. And our options are, I'll help your crew, or not yet, so we'll help the crew. And the captain says, get going, I'll buy you as much time as I can. And the other crew member says, right behind you, Lieutenant, and lead the way. And we have the option to scan the warp core here. So I'll do that. And it says warp core containment on the warp core is failing, and there is nothing you can do to stop it. You need to get your away team and the survivors off the ship as soon as possible. This is an engineering training is required to complete this optional task. So continue. Again, we have Zava on our away team, who is an engineer. As you already knew, that there were problems with the warp core. It would have been nice if we could have used our bridge officer there as well, just to help. But I also understand why they haven't. You can also do these in a team, and you can get all the accolades then, as long as you've got one of each profession with you. So we're now getting a pop-up saying some missions have hidden accolades you can earn for your character. As I was saying before, as long as you've got a science and an engineering character, an actual real player, you can actually do all of these, and all of you will get the accolades for them, even if it's not your profession. So the plasma control console, it says, when you were in the academy, you studied mission reports from the USS Archer. In one instance, crew on the Archer reconfigured a plasma conduit and used it to disable a group of Klingons who had boarded their vessel. You might be able to do something similar. So the option we have is continue, and we can bypass the plasma containment in order to hopefully kill off the Klingons. Okay, well, we got the accolade for doing the tactical optional, but the Klingons apparently are a little bit more resilient to plasma than we had first thought, because they didn't die. So I guess we'll just have to do this the old-fashioned way.
It is no surprise that the cowardly Orions cannot even handle raiding a fragment. But their call for assistance has given us a chance for glorious combat!
Yeah, having the Klingons here does also kind of raise a few more questions, so I guess I'll save that for the review at the end as well. Thankfully they're easy enough to kill, and we are getting some loot from it as well, so I can't really grumble too much. So it's Flores this time, saying, Captain, there must be a Klingon vessel in the area. We should alert the ship. So Exeter, we have Klingons. I can actually see on the minimap there's a little information thing above the patients or the crew that we couldn't help before. So we'll just scan those and see what we can do for them. It says the radiation has done too much damage to this patient's cellular structure. There's nothing more that can be done for them. So that kind of sucks that we can't help them. So pro tip, always bring a medic. And if you could bring an engineer too, even better. So the text here, get to the transporter, we're right behind you. Away team to Exeter, are you ready for transport? The Azura's radiation levels are returning to normal. The survivors of the Azura's crew are on the transporter pad. We don't have much time to get these people off this ship now. We have them, sir. Sensors detect Orion reinforcements on the way, Captain. We need you back on the bridge. The transporter chief is actually moving her lips there. I'm wondering if that's another bug. Maybe they're actually supposed to hear voiceover with that as well. Okay, so back we go. Over to the USS Exeter. It looks like it's bugged again. The bridge officers didn't come with us; they remained on the ship, which is you can actually see both on the mini-map, which is interesting. I wonder if we can actually beam out, whether we beam back, and then beam back again, whether they'll actually come with us this time. Let's give it a go. So yeah, they beamed in with us there. So hopefully they will actually beam back with us this time as we go back. Yeah, there we go, that's better. Probably should have used the regroup bridge officer button there instead, but you know. So off we go to the bridge. So it's Flores again saying, Captain, incoming message from the Klingons, putting it on the screen. And we've got incoming message.
Leave now if you know what's good for you, Starfleet. We are taking this ship, her crew, and her cargo.
We'll have a job, we've got most of their crew already. Our option is the Azura and her crew are under Starfleet protection. Now, I was half expecting them to decloak there rather than warping, seeing as we had the Klingons board the Azura already from supposedly a cloaked vessel. Watching ships blow up, I don't think it's ever going to get old. Okay, so we've had a Negvar warship warp in now as well. Last time we fought one of these, we had Nog to help us as well. But yeah, we seem to be able to cope with a Negvar, no problem with our really old ship. I would prefer for the ships to be a little less like the trash mobs, for it to be a little bit more realistic, but you know, it is a game and it is fun. I'm not denying that it is fun. I think the game designers have come down on the side of, you know, let's make it more fun rather than a little more realistic, which, you know, I can get on board with. Quickly trying to grab the gas here, but the explosion, we took damage from that and it stopped our progress, so we just had to start again to get the minigame. So the middle section says Ops, which we can click. Brings up Flores and Captain. We need to get within range to try and get the transporter lock on Captain Brott. So the option we have is we'll save Captain Brott.
Attempting to get a transporter lock on Captain Brott, sir. Boosting containment. We have...
Flores continues, Captain Brott is safely aboard, sir, and just in time too. We got her just before the ship exploded. Captain Brott has requested that we take her and her crew to sector space. Starfleet will get them home from there. She said she would be happy to speak to you if you wish. I thought we were Starfleet and we're not taking her home. Okay, yeah, sure. I'll speak with the captain.
You saved my crew. I'll tell you whatever I can.
What was the Azura's mission?
The Azura was a transport ship. Best in the quadrant. Mostly I hauled medical supplies or farming equipment. But I had room in the cargo bays for a little of everything. I have one customer who is just crazy for Tranya.
And continue.
I don't save the galaxy on a regular basis like you Starfleet types do. But hauling cargo is a good way to make a living. I'm helping people in my own way.
I have another question.
You saved my crew. I'll tell you whatever I can.
Tell me about the Orions.
There's thieves, pirates, and a whole lot of trouble if you ask me. Raiders have always been a danger to ships like mine, but the problem has gotten worse since the Orions allied with the Klingons. Now they think they can do anything to anyone. Someone needs to put a stop to these raids.
I have another question.
You saved my crew. I'll tell you whatever I can.
What happened to the Azura?
We have been having trouble with the warp core for a few days. I was hoping I could make it to the closest starbase, but...
Continue.
When the containment field started to collapse, I used every bit of power we had to help stabilize it. The minute I rerouted power from the shields to the containment field, the Orions were there. For all I know, they detected I was in trouble and were waiting for the right time to pounce.
I have another question.
You saved my crew. I'll tell you whatever I can.
What will you do now?
Go back to Belarus for a few weeks, I suppose. I have enough latinum saved up to get me back on my feet. As soon as I can get another ship, I'll be doing transport runs again. I have customers waiting.
And again, I have another question.
You saved my crew. I'll tell you whatever I can.
Thank you. That is all, Captain. So Flores again, ready to leave the system on your command, sir. So let's depart the system. Seems like that's the end of that mission. Just need to turn this one in.
Well done. You saved that crew just in time.
So again, that was just an automatic pop-up. I didn't press or do anything there. So I just continue to get the
Congratulations, Lieutenant.
It was
Click here to learn
an awful
more.
lot all at once. So the pop-ups that has stuck around is just letting us know that we have earned a skill point, our first one. We just need to click in to learn a bit more about it.
Skills will increase your effectiveness in both space combat and ground combat. Select any skill to see a full description of the benefits gained by purchasing it. Every space skill costs 1 space point to purchase, while every ground skill costs 1 ground point. You will earn 1 space point every level, and 1 ground point every 5 levels, until you reach level 50. For each skill purchased, you will earn progress in unlocked paths. Space skills have 3 paths corresponding to the engineering, science, or tactical categories, while ground skills have only a single unlocked path. Unlocks sometimes offer choices upon reaching certain milestones. They are also the primary means of learning to train your bridge officers in new abilities. You may select any unlock node to see what benefits it provides. Powerful abilities can be earned by spending 25 or more of your space points in a single category of skills.
Okay, so now that we are level 5, we can look into spending some skill points to improve our character. There's space and ground, as it did say there, so we can improve both. There are 3 trees here, engineering, science and tactical. You can pick any of them, you don't have to stick with your own class. The ones we can pick from: projecting weapon training, energy weapon training, shield capacity, shield restoration, hull capacity, and hull restoration. Restoration apparently is something I am struggling to say. I think I'm going to go for the energy weapons training, which just gives us a flat bonus damage to our beam weapons. So yeah, you have got the skill details on the right if you click on the skill, so it does give you a little bit of detail about it. Double left click and then you can spend your skill point. I will see about turning down the game volume in the background, because that buoy that is pinging is, well, it's annoying for me. I don't know if it is for you. The ground skills, we have weapon proficiency, which increases our weapon skill, personal shield expert, which increases our shield strength, kit performance, which increases the skills of all of our kit abilities, and endurance training, which increases our maximum health. So I think I'll go with the weapon proficiency to increase our weapon damage. So left clicking once just brings up the same details on the right, as you can see if you mouse over. So double left click to spend the skill point, and then at the bottom mouse over that one and you get the choice of which skill you want. So the top one will give you the ability to be able to train Photon Grenade 3, and the bottom one will give you the ability to train Smoke Grenade 3. Personally, I prefer Photon Grenade to Smoke Grenade, so I will go with that one. And then just select, and now we'll click OK to confirm that, and now we can train Photon Grenade 3. Basically what that does is it gives us the ability to be able to create a training manual, which we can then use to train our bridge officers so they have that ability. You're not really missing out on one or the other, because you can buy the other ones from the exchange for other players who have put them on the exchange to be able to train your bridge officers if you want to do that. Alternatively, you can respec your character and pick the different options to be able to make the different manuals. So it's which one you pick initially is really down to you. It's personal preference. I don't think there really is a good option or a bad option there. They both have their own pros and cons. If you are playing as the science or the engineer, your skills that you will get to pick from will be different. They'll be specific to your class, so just keep that in mind, that you won't have the Photon Grenade or Smoke Grenade if you are science or engineering proficient. So that pretty much is the end of the episode, but I will quickly go through my character, my ship, my bridge officers, and just update the different pieces that we have. We have a new skill already called the Call Trade Freighter, which allows us to summon a freighter so that we can actually sell items to the freighter rather than going all the way back to a space dock or another space station to be able to sell our goods. So I'll just sort, and then well, there's body armor there, which we're not currently wearing any, so I'll put that one on. It does bind to us, which means we can't then sell it on the auction house, but that's fine. That's not really a problem. So I'm just going to go through, and there's a polyweave armor that we have picked up here, which is better than what Flores is currently using. So I think we'll put that on her, and then we'll see if Coles, well, he hasn't got anything at all, so we'll just give him the armor that she had. So that's pretty much the best that we can do with our bridge officers. We could put the devices in as well if we wanted to. Just drag them over, and you don't need to do anything with those for your bridge officers. They will just use them as and when they need them, so Coles now has a small and a medium hypo in his devices, and he would just use them as and when he needs them. You could put the small power cell in as well, which just gives it a little boost to damage. Or you've got food, in this case a Klingon Grapok sauce. I've probably just butchered the name there completely, but yeah, you can put them in, and your bridge officers will just use them. I tend to sell them. I don't really tend to use them very much. I don't think they're really needed. If you do put them on yourself, you will be able to use them as it's literally like a consumable, which you can just click on. I'll go over that in detail on another episode. For now, we're just gonna go to the Exeter, and we can see we've got a shield, so it's much better than one we're using. So again, we get the pop-up to say it's gonna bind, so we can't sell it on the auction house, but we're not really going to look to sell it on the auction house anyway, so that's fine. We also have a new engine. This one, as well as the shield, was both green, which means that they're uncommon. They're just color coded to let you know that. It's fairly common in most MMOs, but yeah, this one should help us go a little bit faster. Hopefully we can get up to, well, it says 5.56 as the maximum speed, but with the extra boost we may even be able to push warp 6 if we're lucky. As well as color coded, the gear is also sorted by marks, so you have Mark 1, Mark 2, etc, etc. The highest we can use for our rank is Mark 2. We did also pick up a mine launcher, but I prefer the beam weapons, so it's not one that we're going to use. It's also only a Mark 1, not the best, but yeah, I just prefer the beam weapons, so I won't be using that one. So it's time to move on to the good, the bad, and the improvements. So the good, the sounds in combat and in general actually is really good. It really does help you to feel immersed in the universe. I can't sort of understate it really. It's really good how effective it is at pulling you in, and they've done a really good job with the sound. Having the ships exploding is just so satisfying. It's brilliant. Okay, the loot is also pretty good. There was a decent amount of loot dropped. Some we found as well in different crates. It was good, and the mission rewards, which gave us a good boost of items overall to improve ourselves, the crew, and our ship. The voiceovers. Voiceover is nice to have. It really is. It may not be the best. I don't think it's going to win any awards or anything, but it is very much appreciated that characters are actually voiced. I know not all of them are, but the ones that are, it really is a big help, I think. I also like the replayability of the mission, where if you come in as a science character or an engineer character, you're going to find the mission be slightly different, because you can do different things as your career class, so I do like that. Even though I did find it a bit annoying because I had bridge officers with me of that class that I couldn't do it from a gameplay perspective. I quite like it. So the bad, well, bugs. We encountered quite a few bugs whilst we were playing this mission. Far too many really for a mission that's this old. It should really have been cleaned up and sorted by now, you would have thought. You certainly wouldn't expect to encounter half the bugs that we did, being one of the first missions in the game. This was a tutorial, essentially, back in the day when it was first released. So to see it now, it has again been improved and revamped many times, but you wouldn't expect to have bugs like this whilst you're playing. It's a little bit annoying, particularly the tactical one. To get the accolade, the Klingons will just stand there in the plasma. They don't die. That shouldn't be happening. Pop-ups is another issue. I know they can be disabled, but if you're a new player, you're probably going to want the pop-ups, but are you going to want the same pop-ups, and are you going to want pop-ups on pop-ups on pop-ups, which it just becomes really annoying. And when you're closing one, you're then getting another. we could go back and test it and say, okay, we'll disable them, but does that disable all of them, or does that just disable ones that you've already seen? We don't know, and as a new player you certainly wouldn't know whether that was the case, whether disabling them would just turn all of them off. And seeing as some of them are actually useful, you might not want to, but you're certainly not necessarily going to want all of them popping up all of the time, particularly like that. It is really quite annoying. The story itself, I mean, the story's okay. It's kind of a bread and butter mission of Starfleet. Answer a distress call. I mean, what Starfleet officer doesn't do that? So that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the plot holes, it just rips the immersion to pieces. The plot holes, there seems to be quite a few. You look at the Admiral from the very first pop-up, and he's saying that there's a Bolian freighter that's on the way to space dock, and it's overdue. Which, it's fine. That's the premise of the whole mission. But when we get closer to the Azura, we're talking to the captain, and she tells us that she was attacked while she was on her way to K7. Well, K7 is near Sherman's planet, that's near a Klingon outpost, which is fine, but the K7 is near the Mempa sector, and yeah, we bump into the Azura pretty much outside a space dock, which is nowhere really near the Mempa sector, so that's a little bit odd. And she's also said that there's an Orion have attacked and damaged the weapons and the warp core and the Azura. Again, that's perfectly fine, perfectly plausible, but the Orions aborted the ship. So it's just a bit strange that if all this happened and she was attacked on her way to K7, wouldn't she be a bit closer to K7 and not outside space dock? So that one, felt a little bit odd for me. When we are talking to the captain in the engine room as well, she mentions Klingons, but up to that point we haven't seen any Klingons, so it's a bit of a spoiler. But also the voiceover doesn't also match the text with that as well. She's talking about the Orions, she doesn't mention the Klingons at all. So yeah, that one again is a little bit strange. It's I think possibly just trying to show to the player that the Klingons and the Orions are sort of allies, but yeah, it doesn't fit well here the way it's been done, in my opinion. On that, with the Klingons, we come into the system and we're faced with Orion ships, and when we're on board the Azura and we take out the Orion, suddenly the Klingons show up, which they seem to do really, really quickly, again considering we are pretty much outside a space dock, comparatively speaking. Well, I guess we don't really know when the Orion sent the request for aid from the Klingons, but it would seem a bit odd if they'd sent the request before we even arrived in the system, seeing as they had ships there, they were already following the freighter, they had people on board the freighter as well. So yeah, it just seems a bit odd. The response time for the Klingons seems really, really quick considering where we are. Again, staying with the Klingons, they beamed on board the Azura, but from where? We did have a pop-up saying that perhaps we should let the ship know that the Klingons are on board the Azura and probably beamed aboard from a cloaked ship, but when we got into combat they walked into where we were rather than decloaking, so that was a little bit strange too. The captain says Starfleet will take her home as well at the end of the episode. Well, I thought we were Starfleet, so wouldn't we take her? That's again sort of a bread and butter sort of thing that we could do. But Polaris, I believe, is not actually in the game currently. There is a Polaris sector, but there is no Polaris planet for us to actually visit or to go to be able to drop them home. So it could just be that because there isn't a planet, that's how they've decided to do it. But I mean, you could just replace the captain with a different race, and suddenly you're fixing it already. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much the bad. I mean, there are more holes as well. You can talk about the captain talking about the warp field containment problem, and that she knew about it for days. Again, at the end, if you talk to her before you leave for sector space, she tells you this. You'd think that if she knew she had problems for days, why would she not sort that already before going to K7? It just doesn't seem to fit right with the other information we have. So let's move on to some improvements and easy fixes to be able to make it a little better, in my opinion. You have some voiceover at the end, again, if you choose the option to be able to talk to the captain, which explains that the Orions are allied with the Klingons and that they've become a bit more brazen about being able to attack freighters because of this. So that information you could essentially just lift off and put into the main story rather than having that as an optional to explore later. And then you could remove the Klingons from the mission entirely and just keep it as Orions. You could even, instead of having the Klingons beaming in, or the Orions beaming in to block your path back to the transporter room, you could have a separate door. There were several doors there that we couldn't even access. So you could add a room on and just have some Orions which come out of that room to block your path back to the transporter pad, and you can again use the tactical to use the plasma to clear your way there. So that would keep it a little bit more together and stick with just being Orions, and still let the player know that the Klingons and the Orions are working together. And then it's just a case then of clearing up the mission text, again from the Admiral and from the Captain, to reflect the slight changes that are there, and to better reflect what's actually said in the voiceover. Then that's pretty much the whole of the mission closed. So that's very easy to be able to fix, I think, and would make it quite a lot better. So yeah, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next episode.